All right, everyone, welcome to class today. Today we're going to be looking more at alleles and genes, and we're going to start off with these two questions. In your notebook, please write down number 1 and number 2. What is the same about these two plants, and what is different about these two plants? Pause the video here. All right, so quick review of vocabulary. You don't need to write this down. When we're talking about a genotype, we're talking about the alleles that an organism has for a trait. So remember, an allele is a type of a gene. It's kind of like a flavor of the gene. So if our gene is tall, our two alleles are tall and short. And we write the alleles using capital or lowercase letters. So remember, every single organism has two alleles for every trait. So one plant could have two alleles that are the same, capital T and capital T. That means they have two dominant alleles. One plant could have a capital T or a lowercase t for the height gene, and that would mean they would still be tall because they still got one capital allele. Or you could have two lowercase t's, which means you have both of the recessive traits, which means you're going to look short. Now, there's a new vocab word we're going to learn today, and that is phenotype. So genotype is what the alleles are that we have in our body, so each of these three options. The phenotype is what an organism actually looks like, so what you actually see. So if the genotype is homozygous dominant, heterozygous, or homozygous recessive, like we learned last class, the phenotype would be tall. For this one, it would be tall, and for this one, it would be short. Okay, so for number 3, I want you to write down the genotype and the phenotype for a homozygous dominant plant for the height gene. Okay, so let's go through this one together for this. We are going to be writing down the genotype. So remember, genotype is talking about what are the genes. So if it's homozygous, remember homo means same, and dominant, that means we're going to get two of the same alleles that are both dominant. Okay, so our answer for this one, for the genotype, will be capital T and capital T, homozygous dominant. But what is the phenotype? What do we actually look like? So if you have two capital T's, you have the two dominant alleles, are you going to look tall or short? So on your notebook, I want you to answer that question right underneath the genotype. Are you going to look tall or are you going to look short? All right, number 4. Let me undo this. Eraser. See if I can erase the whole thing. There we go. Okay, so for number 4, write the genotype and phenotype for a homozygous recessive plant. So remember, homo means same, but what does recessive mean? Try to write the genotypes there. And then what's the phenotype going to look like? If I have a homozygous recessive plant, what phenotype? Is it going to be tall or is it going to be short? Pause the video and write your answer. All right, next one is this one here. Write the genotype and phenotype for a heterozygous plant. Heterozygous means different, and we're talking about the height gene, so we're going to use the same letters. Pause the video and write your response here. All right. What happens if two heterozygous plants reproduce with each other? So let's take a look at this plant here and this plant here. What would happen if they had a baby? Make a prediction. Will the offspring look tall or will it look short? Go ahead and pause the video. I want you to make your prediction here. All right. So now that you've made your prediction, we're going to learn how we actually figure out what the offspring of these two parent plants are going to be if they have offspring. Remember, a plant fertilizes or pollinates another plant by spreading its pollen to another plant's ovule, and when those sex cells combine, it creates a new cell that's going to be the new seed for the offspring that will eventually develop into its own plant. So I'm going to be making another video for this one because I can only make these videos in 5-minute segments. So go ahead and take a look at the next video, part 2 for this, and you'll be able to see how to make a Punnett square. If you already know how to do it, you can do it on your own.